Hey everybody, Edo here, and today I want to tell you about 10 fantastic, great, incredible, two-player only games. These are games I play all the time, and in fact, all of them remain in the permanent collection. You may not know this, but I go through my collection regularly and cull it down because I don't have any room, so they go to the local Game Castle game library. But for a game to stay on the shelf is a pretty big deal. Currently, I'm working on Skull Hollow with Keith Mateka, which is a two-player asymmetric game with a creature versus a team of foxes, and in working on that, I've refreshed myself. I've been playing more and more of these two-player games, so I wanted to make this list. I also recently saw the Dice Tower did their list of two-player casual games. They weren't restricted to two-player only, but in watching that list, I was like, there are so many games you're not mentioning that I really like, and like, what's the name of that, Omitama, or whatever that game is? I'm not a fan of that one. So I was like, what? I want to talk about mine. Now, they were from 13 on, so like half of these games at least would have not been included on their list anyway. So, I'm sure they like these games as well. But I'm doing a list of the ones that I'm still playing. So there's no date on this, but these are only for two players, right? So these aren't a 3, 4, 5, 6, so two-player only games is a distinction. Also, one set of games does not fit the category, but I wanted to give it an honorable mention, which is all of the Unlock series, Exit the Game, Exit the Room, Escape Room, the Game, whatever they're called. All of these escape room games that are like 1 to 6 players, but effectively it's just puzzle and problem solving. So there's no rule or multiple player dynamics that you have to deal with. It's just great fun, and my wife and I play these all the time, just the two of us, and we just love it. Whenever they come out, we pick them up. I still have the unlocks because these are reusable, but the other ones I chuck at the end because I don't have space and you can't use them again. So, but not two-player only, but I feel like two-player isn't some sort of different version of the same game, so I wanted to mention it, but it's not going to be in the list of 10 here. So, jumping right in, first I'm going to bring up Patchwork by Uwe Rosenberg. This isn't super new, but reasonably new, and I've recently reviewed it, and Patchwork is great. I'm going to say two-player game for all of these, but each player is trying to fill up their quilt or patch, I think it's a quilt, by using these Tetris-sized pieces, which you are collecting as you are circling this piece set around the board. You have this really tight engagement with the other player as you are trying to get pieces, but not get too far, not let them get too far ahead. But there's just this great player-to-player dynamic. The main gripes I have with this game is it's got a lot of table presence. This is a big thing to set up despite the small box, and the first time you play, there's a good chance you're going to have a negative score, which I think is weird for a game that I think is going to be casual. But if you're curious about that, you can see my review. Nevertheless, this game's a whole lot of fun. So, Patchwork. Next up, and again, this isn't a top 10. They don't have to go in a world. These are just great games. Next up is Lost Cities by Rainer Knizia. Lost Cities is a classic. In this game, each player is working towards a number of expeditions, and you have to pass a score threshold on that expedition with your cards that are from 1 to 10. And as you do, there's only one of each card, so you're sort of seeing which cards you can take and use and what your opponent's doing so they don't thwart you, and you get a bunch of negative points if you start an expedition and then miss, and you can have multipliers on it. The only thing against this is there's a lot of math. Like scoring at the end of the game, you're like adding and doing multiplication, and you got to sit down. What was very casual play, but it has that classic Rainer feel where he does this thing where you're like frustrated by your hand size and wanting more information, but not having it all in one place. And it's just a really fun, fantastic game. There have been other versions, but Lost Cities, still playing this game, great fun. There's a couple Rainer games in here. Next one I'll bring out too because it's relevant or related, is Battle Line. Now, Battle Line's a little harder to find, for sure. But when I was reviewing Lost Cities, people like, have you played Battle Line? Or also, I think Biblios and a few other games, but they kept recommending Battle Line. And I finally got a copy of it, and Battle Line has the same dynamic feel of yet hand management of Lost Cities, but instead of just trying to score points, you are going against another line of enemies on the other player. So it has a number and color matching sort of rummy feel to it. It's super fun. It's head-to-head. I mean, most two-player games are head-to-head, but this is certainly very head-to-head. But it works. I know this one's harder to find and older, right? But I'm a big fan of Battle Lines, and it still gets played when people come over. And we will move along. So those, where do I want to go next? I'm going to go on the lighter phase next, and I'm going to bring out Longhorn. Longhorn is by Bruno Cathala, and I believe this came out before Five Tribes. It has a little bit of a Mancala feel to it. But in Longhorn, each player is playing as a different criminal, and you are collecting these wonderful cows. And they're spread out on this board that's a composition of different tiles, and you are picking them up, or you're basically doing that walk-around thing where you're moving around the board, picking up tiles, and trying not to be ending on. If you end on an empty space, you can get an advantage. If you pick up the last cow, and there are. It's a fast play game. One of the things that come out in a few of these games, this game and the next one I'm going to talk about, is this game can end quick. It's a game where you can play, make a bad decision, and lose. Lost Cities isn't really that way. Patchwork, but those games sort of come to the end and you compare your scores. But this has winner and loser, and you can make a bad move and lose. And I think for a fast game, for a two-player game, that's a cool dynamic you don't see everywhere. It's like getting a queen's main check. Very quickly losing, you're like, what happened? And I like that dynamic in games as long as players know that it exists. And I really enjoy Longhorn. Really fun game. Beautiful art by Vincent. Next up, along those lines, let's talk about Dark is the Night. Now, Dark is the Night was a team of designers, if I recall. It was Zach Abbott, Arwen Bauer, and Joss Still. But this is a game where one player is playing in the center as an archer hero or this character, and the other player is playing this evil beast in the darkness surrounding the campsite, and you're firing arrows into the darkness, trying to hit the beast, and the beast is trying to eat you, and it's neat. It's hidden information, hidden positioning, but it's quick. A good tight game is 5 minutes, and a quick game when somebody went the wrong way and got a lucky shot is 3 minutes. It plays past. This game actually I did an unboxing because really nice box, and even has a pretty awesome little mini for this game. But just really nice components, and this is the kind of game you just pull out, play in 5 minutes, put it away. I really like it. Two-player game, really nicely done, and also a little of that asymmetric feel that you get that we're looking at in Skulk Hollow. Speaking about asymmetric great games, this one was on their list. Raptor by Bruno Cathala and Bruno Faiduti. So this, Vincent again, amazing components. You have the Raptors, you have the little world pieces, and you build out your board, and even the insert's super great. But in Raptor, one player is playing as a raptor with its babies, and the others are a bunch of scientists trying to capture the raptor, and you are playing with variable, totally different power sets, but it's still sort of that a strife mechanic where everyone has cards. Zero, I don't remember, it might be 0 to 9, 0 to 8, or 1 to 8, but they all do different things, but playing the cards gives you priority over the other player, and so thinking about what they're going to play, what it means for them, and what you're going to do is really the dynamic here. This is a lusciously produced, wonderful game. And I don't even think it's too expensive. I think they kept it at a reasonable price point, but this is, if people look at the old Cosmos games or some of the older two-player games as the heyday, this is sort of the grand look at two-player experiences, and I was just so impressed by this game. I really like this game. Lots of people really like this game. Moving along, getting to some fantastic ones. If you haven't played this one, Strife. I highly recommend Strife, as I do all of this. Strife is by Chris Ham, who also, Strife is a big reason Chris came on Pencil First Games to do Legendary Creatures. This is a really tight hand where both players have symmetrical hands, but all of the different characters in your hand have different abilities and different combos and how you play them. And you're playing one now or one in the past. I don't remember. You're playing the two cards and how they interact. And it really is this, sort of magic background card ability weighted mega combo game that's super tight. It also has the Fate Cube, which is the super nice mechanic where rather than running into ties, you have this tie-breaking thing where one player this starts worth 1 point, but if I want to win a tie, I give it to you, and when I give it to you, it's then worth 2 points. And then if you want to win a tie, you give it back to me, and it's worth 3 points. And it's so awesome. This game is super dense, super tight, very impressive, and just a ton of fun. Denser than most of the other games I've mentioned. All right, moving along, I have 3 more games. Acrotiri. Acrotiri is by Jay Cormier and Seng-Fung Lim, and this is a game where you build this gigantic world map. It's sort of pick up and delivery with these shrine intersection points and set collection or basically goal completion. This is in that category of just fantastic presentation, wonderful components, the pyramids, the weight of this box is hefty. This is a game that was made by people that love two-player games, right? That idea that we can make a fantastic, interesting game, and hey, this game would be great for 4 players. Yeah, it would, but guess what? It's for 2 players. Deal with it. I like this game a lot, and it is so well done. It's on the expensive side. It's a heavy box, a lot going on, but very much a great, wonderful game. I believe the Dice Tower is doing like heavier set games. I hope this one is in the heavier set of games. Okay, 2 more titles, both fantastic. We then have Jaipur. Jaipur was, I do top 10 games I reviewed last year, and this was number 1. This game is fantastic. I'm playing this game constantly. There's an app, but actually a number of these have apps. In Jaipur, you are essentially trying to sell sets of different good types like gold or gems or diamonds or cloth or spices. And there's a flop in front of you and you're taking from it and the other player's taking from it, but you're trying not to, you have to like exchange with it and you're trying not to give them cards they need and sort of control the flow. And they have this really great camel system that lets you go have big plays, but then you're sort of on your back foot because the next player gets a new set of cards. It really works. It's really fun. It's great. This is a great, great game. Highly recommended. Last, but most certainly not least, is Lord of the Rings, The Confrontation. This is another Reiner game. Has to be in my top 5 games of all time. And in particular, one of the best examples of thematic mechanics. Games are oozing with art direction and story and all this, but there are few games that so completely make you feel what the situational dynamics of a character are when you're playing. Like, playing this game, you feel like Frodo. Like, the dynamics of the board just push it together. It's 2-player, head-to-head, Stratego +++, and it's great. They made a deluxe version. I don't like the deluxe version. I like this version. I even think they might have remade the small version. I've played this game so many times. I cherish this game. This game is fantastic. And really just a blast. Highly recommended. Highly recommend you check this out. And you'll notice the really head-to-head games have some feel here. Raptor has a certain card-driven feel, and Strife and this game have that sort of, we have a hand, and they're similar number sets, but then they do different powers, and I have to go in my hand, I have to go in your hand. That's, again, something that we really are trying to bring out in Skull Hollow in a way, but it's a really cool game experience, and I think it's great for two-player games. So, that's the set. You can't go wrong. Some are more casual than others, but all of those play in under an hour for sure. If you have any great two-player games you think I should be playing, if you're a publisher, hey, send it along. I'll give it a shot. I love two-player games. But if you're not and you just want to recommend it, let me know. There are many other two-player games that I've played and really liked, but perhaps not kept or here, but just didn't make that 10 list. But I am always up for and interested in playing more of them. So, 10 great two-player games. Hey everybody, Edo here, and thanks for watching Gaming with Edo. Reviews over here on this playlist, League and Insider videos over here on this one. Subscribe, share, all that good stuff. But most importantly, play some great games. Thanks.